Well, hey fans, welcome back to the FlixFrog Top 10, and this list, of course, is going to be my top 10 most disappointing movies of 2024, and normally I think I do the most disappointing movies list first, but sickness entered the house, everything got pushed back. I did my most anticipated of 2025 first, because I wanted to get that out before I saw Captain America Brave New World, which was on my list. So yeah, I'm going to do my most disappointing movies of 2024. And like I said in videos past, I hate making lists about movies that I hate because everybody intends to make a good movie. It just doesn't turn out that way. And it's all a matter of perspective. I may be disappointed in a movie that people like. An example, Captain America Brave New World. I enjoyed that movie even with its flaws. A lot of people didn't like it. And that's what we're going to get into on this list. And it's in no particular order. So let's just jump right into it. Number 10, Immaculate. So Immaculate I saw as a part of South by Southwest last year. I really like the premise of the virgin birth. You got this nun played by Sydney Sweeney. She's actually died in her youth but was resuscitated by EMS, and she just feels a calling to give her life to God. And while she's at this convent in Europe, she falls pregnant and she's not sure how it happens. And of course, this is a horror film, and it goes into this nefarious plot by the church to bring Jesus back to life in some way. And just overall, the first half of the movie is great. It starts to fall apart in the second half and to the end. I really hated the ending, and I just felt that they kind of just wasted a lot of what could have been a great story. But Sydney Sweeney's hot. Number 9. The Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy. Now, this is a fudge, because this is actually 3 movies. DC's Crisis on Infinite Earths Part 1, 2, and 3. This is the culmination of all their animated films before they reboot to whatever James Gunn is doing. And I just felt like they stretched it out too far. This should have been one movie, and I really love the DC animated movie universe. Batman Under the Red Hood is probably my favorite movie. Justice League Flashpoint Paradox, just such a great movie, which led into the new universe where you had Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, where the Flash had to go back in time again, which pretty much caused this. Now, when I watched the first one, it was not a lot's going on, but I kind of see where they're going here, so I want to see how they finish it. Then you had the second movie, which felt like filler, and it was all about Psycho Pirate, and then they wrapped it up in the third one. It just felt like it was WB trying their best to make money, and they just stretched it out as much as they could so they could sell a different 4K copy for each movie. Like I said, it should have been one movie, and it was a mediocre story at best. It was nice seeing some of the characters back, even though it was really only a facsimile of them, like the Justice League animated series universe, although it wasn't really that universe. And you got to see Batman Beyond. Will Friedle had 2 lines. So yeah, it was just disappointing overall. Number 8, Deadpool and Wolverine. Deadpool and Wolverine made well over $1 billion, and I remember being super excited to go see it because I like the Fox X-Men universe, and this is supposed to be a goodbye to that universe. Plus Blade, I know he's New Line, which is Warner Brothers, but they put him here anyway. And I enjoyed a lot about the movie, but overall, the project just disappointed me. It wasn't as much of a goodbye to the Fox universe as I wanted. There was not enough. I thought I was going to see a lot more Fox X-Men appear in this movie, even from those leaked set photos, which I guess were staged to make it seem like that. There was no Cyclops, there was no Jean Grey, no Iceman. All these characters, I think they should have figured out a way to put them in this movie. And then you get to the scene where they're fighting in the giant Ant-Man corpse, and you have Cassandra Nova and her goons, which are X-Men characters from various movies and some other movies as well, but they're played by different actors. And I guess it's a multiverse, so there's infinite versions of all these characters, but I think they could have gotten some of those real actors back. I know they got the guy that played Pyro Bat, they got the guy that played Toad Bat, they got the original Sabretooth back, but everybody else was a different actor, and I don't know why they did that. Maybe it was COVID, maybe they couldn't figure out how to film it and get people places, but it just overall, the movie, and that final fight with Deadpool versus the Deadpool Corps with Wolverine there, it just looks so cartoonish and cheesy. It's fun for the reveal that you finally get to see Wolverine in his mask and all of that, but overall the story I just thought could have been better. Number 7. Joker Folie, Deux. Man, this movie was just bad. It was just bad. I wasn't like the biggest fan of the first Joker movie, and that I like it as a movie about mental health. I never saw Arthur Fleck as becoming the Joker at the end. I almost did. There's like the perfect scene where after he kills Robert De Niro's character and he's in that car accident, he like makes the bloody smile on his face. At the end of that movie right there, I'm like, bam, that guy can become the Joker. And in this one, he's like back to where he started at the beginning of the first movie. It didn't make sense. Lady Gaga's Harley Quinn, I don't know why she was included to not actually be a Harley Quinn type character. The music was fine. It's just that the story I thought was poorly done. And then his death at the end was just terrible by some other guy who's like laughing and like carves a smile. Like, I don't know what they were doing with this movie. Should have never been made. And it just puts a stain on the legs of that first film, in my opinion. It's like this whole thing just should not have been done. I mean, I guess the first movie is a multiple Academy Award winning movie. The second one is not getting anything. So sad. Just watch the first one and ignore the second one completely. Number 6, Civil War. Another movie I was super excited for. The concept alone was great. A modern civil war, and you got California and Texas fighting together, and there's like a bunch of other factions. The U.S. isn't broken into two sides in this movie. There's actually multiple sections of the U.S., but there's two sides. The Western forces, which is fighting the I forget the name of the side that works for the president. Those two are fighting, but they don't really take a side in the movie, and that frustrated me. Like, I don't know who the good guys are. Are the Western forces the good guys? Are the Florida people the good guys? Like, who should I be rooting for, and why? Is the president in a third term because he's a dictator, or did he have to be because some people were seceding and they wanted to overthrow the government? Like, what exactly was going on in this movie? What caused it? Why do some parts of the country look like a war is broken out, while other sides look like people living normally? It was just too much. I really wanted him to make a statement in this movie, and he didn't, unfortunately, so I left the movie just slightly disappointed. Number 5, MadameWeb. MadameWeb, I knew was going to be a bad movie way back when it was first announced, because Sony makes bad movies. But then I got excited when the first plot leaked that it was going to be a Terminator-esque Spider-Man movie where MadameWeb and her Spider-Women were going to have to go back in time to stop whoever that black-suited Spider-Man character was killing a young Richard and Mary Parker so that Spider-Man can be born and live to save the day in the future. And of course, you're going to have a young Ben Parker in the movie, a young Aunt May, all of these characters. In the point of the movie, which the original leaks, if they are indeed true, was that MadameWeb and her Spider-Women were going to fail. The guy was going to kill either Richard or Mary, and Peter Parker was never going to be born. And that was going to explain why in the Sony universes there is no Spider-Man, there's only villains, and these villains, because the timeline changed, are becoming heroes. And I don't know what the end game was going to be, but that movie sounded great to me. That's not the movie we got. The movie we got is just a piece of trash, and just, man, it was just so bad. And I'm glad Sony's probably done. Like, they made Craven, which turned out okay compared to the others, but man, yeah. And speaking of Sony, number 4, Venom: The Last Dance. I mean, this, like, so you watch the second Venom: Let There Be Carnage. That movie's awful, but you get to the ending and he's teleported to the MCU, and you're wondering, oh snap, you know, got the whole multiverse thing going on. What are they going to do with this? And then, of course, at the end of Spider-Man, he's transported out of the MCU back to his own timeline. And in this movie, they like make a stupid joke like, I'm so sick of this multiverse stuff. Like, but this is your first, you only have this one multiverse thing. There's not like a multiple multiverse thing that you've been through. And then, like, the piece of symbiote that he left in MCU in this movie is like he left it in his own universe, and the guy played by Chiwetel Ejiofor calls it like viral shedding, which shouldn't Venom be viral shedding all over? Just so much bad stuff about this movie, so many stupid choices that Venom makes. I'm glad that trilogy is over. It was awful. They really need to figure out a way to get Venom in the MCU played by a different actor. I like Tom Hardy, but it's time to move on from everything they did there. The trilogy, the entire trilogy is bad. The first movie is passable, and yeah, everything else is garbage. Number 3, The Book of Clarence. The Book of Clarence, it was on my list of most anticipated movies last year, and I was super excited to see it. And for the most part, I'm going to say I enjoyed that movie. The reason it's on my list of most disappointed movies is because of the ending. You can ask my boy Daniel his thoughts on it as well. Like, once you get toward the final act of the movie becomes something totally different. It stretches away from like a comedy into this serious think piece where Clarence becomes like a replacement for Jesus. But Jesus is in the movie, so you didn't have to do that. The whole aspect of him being like a charlatan preacher type guy who like learns the error of his ways and actually becomes a good witness was a great story with the comedy mixed in, and then they just become like this super serious movie. And like the very ending, the message at the very end, it's a good message, but the final act of the movie, I just didn't care for. It didn't really feel like it fit. I don't understand why they made that choice, so it soured my thoughts on the entire movie. Number 2, MaXXXine. I was a big fan of X, and the sequel, Pearl, I was like, man, it's not that great, but it's kind of fun that he shot at the same time as X. It was a secret movie. I just think these films have been getting progressively worse. MaXXXine, they had that whole, 80s slasher vibe going, but it never quite really reached the same heights as X. I think that Ty West just, I don't know, it felt like he was kind of like obligated to make these movies instead of making them because they're fun and it's a cool story. It's like he just really wanted to finish his trilogy, and I felt the same with Mia Goth. I think she is a scream queen. She's a great actress, but she really felt like she was obligated to do this. And I mean, it had a good tie back to the first movie, but overall it just felt rushed and sloppily written. And all these great actors in it, like Giancarlo Esposito, Kevin Bacon, they just all feel underutilized. So overall for me, it just wasn't that great. Number 1, and I know this list isn't in any particular order, but the American Society of Magical Negroes. Man, what a wasted premise. I mean, this could have been one of the greatest movies of all time. The Magical Negro is a movie archetype that every black person knows. My favorite one is The Legend of Bagger Vance with Will Smith, where he teaches Matt Damon's character how to be a better golfer. You got the God archetype and Bruce Almighty, and so many more, the Green Mile, so many more. And they kind of make fun of all that in the movie. And you think the premise is, you got the black kid, he's going to become a part of this program where like they're keeping white people happy so that black people aren't wiped off of the face of the earth. And they like make these microaggressions not as bad by just using their magic powers, like a Harry Potter mixed with a Men in Black type situation, and it looked good. But when you watch the movie, and David Allen Greer, all these actors great, Justice Smith, the story is so bad, and they don't quite actually touch on what the movie promises with, dealing with overt racism, covert racism, all these things, and it's kind of sad. And it is kind of funny that he falls in love with a white girl in the movie. Nothing wrong with that, but it's funny with the whole it's just magical Negro thing. Or I think she was like half Hispanic, or I don't know, something. They kind of explain it, half Asian or whatever. But no, I think she was Asian actually. Like I said, I haven't watched the movie in a while. I was just disappointed by it. But yeah, that is actually my biggest letdown of last year. But that is my list. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And any of these movies that I watched and I did do a review, it'll be on the website, flipfrogllc.com/flicksfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.